This is a Louie T Network exclusive.
Hey, either you're outside or you're
in the lab room.
Who else could it be? Me, your me, Louie T. Welcome for joining yours truly on this program as the college football series continues to roll on. The inaugural episode was last episode with the running back position, and then we're talking about a similar topic, different position. Running back position, we talked about how that class of 2017 of running backs could be the best we've ever seen in terms of talent entering the draft at one time at that particular position. We're going to have another discussion about the class of 2017 at a different position, however. And unlike the running back position, which we can all agree has been devalued to a certain degree in the league, this position has not. But like the running back position, it's another one of those positions where you look at and you say to yourself, and you look at teams and the way that they think about this particular position, and it's one of those positions, much like running back, where you can get this type of player, this position of player anywhere in the draft, develop him and put him onto the football field and get production out of him. It's not like quarterback where you got to go get yours early in order to have success. It's not like an elite pass rusher or an elite cornerback, which usually if you're going to get one of those guys at one of those premium positions, you got to go get them early in order to have elite success. Most likely, this is one of those drafts, however, in 2017 at this particular position where I look around and I say, man, haven't seen this type of talent at this particular position in quite some time. I'm talking about the tight end position, and I'm in the school of thought that if you're looking to create a mismatch on the offensive side of the football, the easiest way to do so is at the tight end position. You can find ways to take a receiver out of the ball game if you'd like. You can even find corners that can match up with wide receivers one-on-one and take a guy out of a ball game. It is tough to take an elite tight end, especially one with size, out of a ball game. You can try what you like. You can put two defenders on them. You can try to bracket them. You can try to play zone coverage based around that one tight end. You can try to man up. It's just tough when you've got a mismatch at the tight end position. Those guys are probably the easiest mismatches to create on the football field. And so you look around the league and you look at teams that have dynamic tight ends. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs, playoff team. You look at the New England Patriots, playoff team. You look at the Washington Redskins, playoff team. These are all teams with dynamic mismatch tight ends that get the job done at a very high level in this league. Hell, you could go on and look at the list of teams that made the postseason last year, and I'll bet you the majority of them have tight ends that create mismatch for the opposition. So this is one of those positions, especially when you got a young quarterback. And if you look around the league, a lot of these quarterbacks, a lot of teams looking for quarterbacks, a lot of teams starting to get young quarterbacks. The quarterback's best friend after the run game is the tight end. And to me, and I asked the question at the top of this program, how many tight ends have been selected in the first round in the last 5 drafts? 2016, no first round tight ends. First tight end taken off the board, 34th overall, San Diego Chargers, Hunter Henry. Look at the 2015 draft. No tight ends in the first round. The first tight end was not taken until 55, if I'm not mistaken, when the Baltimore Ravens leapfrogged the Pittsburgh Steelers to take the tight end out of Minnesota. So again, no first round tight ends in 2015. You got to go all the way back to 2014 and Eric Ebron to find your first tight end taken in the first round in the last 5 seasons. And that'll be the Detroit Lions taking him at the 10th overall selection. Then you go back a year further, 2013, and you get the 21st selection by the Cincinnati Bengals, and that being Tyler Eifert out of Notre Dame. And after that, there are no more tight ends in the last 5 drafts to speak of. So 2 tight ends total taken in the first round in the last 5 drafts. Again, not a position that teams feel the need to go and get a guy in the first round. And again, the talent hasn't spoken to needing to select a guy in the first round, but I think that's about to change in the 2017 NFL draft. As I've combed over all of the different players in this past year's draft, in the 2016 NFL draft, I stumbled upon a talent-rich tight end group that most likely will all be in the 2017 NFL draft. There's one exception to the rule. He could come out. He probably will come out if he has a successful season. We'll talk about it when we get there. But the rest of these guys are all seniors, so you'll see them in the 2017 NFL draft. And I'd like to think that 2, possibly 3 of these guys could all hear their names called in the first round of the NFL draft. I think they're that talented, and I think they're that good, and they can change the game. Let's talk about these tight ends that I think have a chance to really impact the 2017 NFL draft and have an impact moving forward in the National Football League. You start with the guy that I think is the creme de la creme, the best of this group, and it's close. There are a lot of talented tight ends in this group, but if you're talking about a guy that can hold his own at the point of attack in the run game as a blocker and give you equal to even more so production as an athlete in the receiving game, I think you get the best of both worlds with Alabama tight end O.J. Howard. You saw all of his, and most of these guys have had breakout games on the biggest stage for their particular teams. A lot of them coming in bowl games, and that's when you want to do your most damage, much like Max Williams did a couple of years ago that got him potentially drafted in the second round by the Baltimore Ravens. He went off in that bowl game. They lost in that game. I forget who they played, but he had a tremendous game. O.J. Howard went off in the national championship game. His best game last season by far was the biggest game, just happened to be the biggest game of the Alabama season for the national championship versus Clemson. They could not stop O.J. Howard. It was big catch after big catch. I think O.J. Howard only had 2 catches for touchdowns on the season, and I want to believe both of them actually came in the national championship game. I mean, he was a force to be reckoned with, and if it wasn't both of them, he definitely had one down the sidelines for sure. But there were so many big games. I want to say he scored 2 touchdowns in that game. He was a monster, well over 100 yards. He might have even crept over 200 yards receiving. He was that dominant. I'd like to think it was somewhere around the 170 range for him in that game. He was outstanding, big plays galore. Guy's an athlete, but not only is he an athlete that can catch the football and get yards after the catch, as we saw in that national championship game versus Clemson, he's a guy that will block in the run game, and it was also on display in that national championship game. The first touchdown of the game scored by Alabama was a Derrick Henry, about 37, 40-yard touchdown rumble, and his block was the kickout block that set the stage for him to hit the second level, outrun the defender, and get into the end zone on that 40-yard touchdown run. So he can do everything you're looking for. And at 6'6", 242 pounds, the size requisite and box is checked. Athleticism, check. Ability to block and be an inline tight end, check. But also the ability to flex out as a U tight end and be detached from the line, check. This guy can do it all, and he's playing at the highest level there is of college football in the SEC and getting it done week after week. To me, O.J. Howard is the new prototype at the tight end position, and with that size, that athleticism, and that ability to go up and make plays on the football, I think this is a guy that I think NFL teams are going to be drooling over and salivating over coming up in the 2017 NFL draft. You look at another guy that I think is a do-it-all prototype tight end, a guy that you can ask to block in the run game but still get it done as a pass catcher, and that's Michigan's Jake Butt. And don't make him the butt of your jokes. This is a guy that is serious business at the tight end position, 6'6", 248 pounds. I watched him in the first game, and I actually watched this game because, you know, when college football first gets underway, I'm excited. I just want football. I don't give a damn what kind of, you could feed me some CFL at that point. I probably would watch it. I'm on edge when college football first gets started at the end of August. Man, I just need it. I gotta have it. And that first game of the season was Jim Harbaugh's first game back at Michigan. They're on the road against Utah. That team's highly ranked, and they've got a stud running back that's up for the Heisman Trophy. He's a Heisman Trophy watch list guy, and I'm thinking to myself, man, this is a big game. I actually watched that game, and I thought Jake Butt was fabulous in that game versus Utah. Had a couple of other good games throughout the season, but that was the one that stuck out for me. Even though they lost that game on the road, thought he played well and gave them an opportunity to win that ball game. So really like Jake Butt. I think he's a guy that can block in the run game, also catch the football, really good, soft hands in the pass game. And he's really the go-to guy at Michigan in terms of making plays for that offense. So I really like Jake Butt. Don't think he's as athletically gifted as, say, O.J. Howard or some of these other guys on this list, but he can hold his own athletically, and I think that's another one of these guys that's going to hear his name called relatively soon in the 2017 NFL Draft. And again, these guys, I feel like all of them have breakout seasons in front of them, and Jake Butt is another one of those guys. He feels like all of these guys, every single one of them that I'm going to talk about today are John Mackey watch list award guys. So they're looking to try to get the most prestigious award in college football for a tight end, which is the John Mackey Award. And all of these guys are on the watch list for good reason. They're all tight ends that I feel like are going to come in and potentially have a huge impact in year one in the National Football League. You go to the next tight end on this list, and he's the lightest of this group, smallest of this group, but he's more in line with what you see coming into the league. Remember, because of the spread offense and the popularity of it in college football right now, a lot of tight ends aren't asked to block on a regular basis. They're not asked to do a lot of the things that NFL tight ends have to do on a consistent basis, to be 3 down players, to be on the field on first down blocking, to be on the field when you got to get it done on 3rd and 1 or 3rd and short. A lot of these guys at the collegiate level aren't big guys. They're guys that have been converted from wide receiver to tight end. They're looking for speed. They're looking for athleticism. So they pluck an ex-receiver that's got a little bit of size on him, that's 6'2", 6'3", 216 pounds, and say, hey man, put on another 10 pounds, we're gonna make you a tight end. And Evan Engram never was a receiver at Ole Miss, but he's a guy that at 6'3", 227 has had to put on weight throughout his collegiate career to fill out his frame, and I'm hoping he continues that trend. Just 2 years ago, this guy was like 215 pounds. Last year, he was around 227. I'm hoping he checks in at around 235, 240 this year and continues to keep the athleticism that has seen this guy get better and better each and every single year. He's also continuing to get better as a blocker, and I think he's one of these guys that has developed nicely over the life of his collegiate career, and I'm hoping that Evan Engram, and it's got a quarterback that can get him the football, and none of these guys can shine without having the quarterback at the helm to get them the football. So I think a guy like O.J. Howard may struggle in that department because we don't know. There's an unknown at Alabama, and it seems like that's the case every year. There's a new guy cycling in, whether it's Blake Sims or Coker last year. It seems like there's a new quarterback at the helm at Alabama each and every single year. Jake Butt going to have to deal with the similar situation. There's no more the quarterback that they had transfer over from Iowa. There's no more of a veteran senior presence there at quarterback to get you the football. New guy going to have to deliver him the football. Don't know if his numbers are going to suffer because of it. Unlike those guys, you've got Evan Engram, who's continuing to grow with Kelly at quarterback. So he's going to get the football. He's comfortable in that offense. And I think he's going to have a huge season at Ole Miss if he's able to stay healthy. Watched him against Oklahoma State in the final game of the season, the bowl game. And I thought he was tremendous in that game. And he's another one of these guys, very gifted athletically at 6'3", 227. Again, smaller guy, but he isn't afraid to block. If he could put on some weight, I think this is another one of these guys you're going to look at and be very intrigued. Either way, he's going to be an intriguing prospect at the next level because he's athletic. And the league right now, they love guys like Evan Engram because they can be mismatches from day one. You stick them in the slot, you put them out wide, and these are guys that will go up and make plays for you on the football. Evan Engram, another guy that I am very excited about at the tight end position in the 2017 NFL Draft class. You go to the next guy, and he was actually a backup last year, and yet he caught my attention when I was watching film on Hunter Henry at Arkansas. I'm talking about Jeremy Sprinkle. Sprinkle me, bitch. Sprinkle me. And he's one of those dudes that I look at and I say, man, you starting to put it together, and he's going to get every opportunity to shine this year at Arkansas as the lead dog at the tight end position. Remember, he's been in the shadow of Hunter Henry for the last 2 years, but this year he's going to get an opportunity to break out as the guy. And I think he's fully able, ready, and capable of taking on that challenge. Again, another one of these tight ends dealing with a change at the quarterback position. His quarterback, Brandon Allen, off to the NFL. Who's going to come in and supplant him? And is he going to be able to get a guy like Jeremy Sprinkle the football? But at 6'6", 255, I watched him, especially in the K-State game. And I watched a bunch of Arkansas tape just because of Brandon Allen and Sebastian Totola, and I just talked about Hunter Henry. Their running backs, both of them were in the draft this past year. So there was a lot of Arkansas tape that I had to watch just because of all of the guys that left that offense this past year. Jeremy Sprinkle, my goodness. That K-State bowl game, I want to say the man might have hit the end zone 3 times in that football game. He was dominant in that football game, and he's athletic. He's a long strider, a guy that you get the football in his hands, and he gets yards after the catch. He's also a guy not afraid to block. I think there's some technique things he needs to work on as a blocker, but make no mistake about it, he's a guy that will mix it up as a blocker. And with that size at 6'6", 255, that's the thing that has me most excited about this draft class. These guys are athletically gifted, but they're also big guys. They don't look like Evan Engram. They're not 6'3", 227, okay? These are some 6'6" grown men at 250 plus, 245 plus. They're gonna come in and right away you can stick them in your offense in line in the traditional wide tight end role, or you can say, man, let me detach you away from the line as a U and let you have a mismatch against a linebacker that isn't 6'6", against a corner or against a safety that can't match your athleticism. These guys are mismatch nightmares waiting to happen. Jeremy Sprinkle, one of those guys that I think you can add to the list of potential breakout tight ends in 2017 or the 2016 NFL college football season that could come in and have a huge impact in the 2017 NFL draft. You look at another tight end, another guy with tremendous size on him, 6'5", 255, tight end out of Clemson. Jordan Leggett is the next guy on my list. And I look at him and I say, he's probably got the best situation going for him right now because A, he's got arguably the best quarterback in all of college football. And B, he's a guy that is comfortable in that offense. He was already one of their go-to players on that offense. He's only going to get more targets, I feel like, this upcoming year. And I think he's comfortable blocking in that offense. There were some big runs by Wayne Gallman. I watched him against Georgia Tech. I actually thought he had a really good game against Alabama in the national championship game. I actually caught a touchdown in that game as well. So Jordan Leggett is another one of these guys, big frame, can go up and get the football. Another one of these guys that's athletically gifted, can run by safeties and linebackers. You don't want to put a corner on him because he's 6'5", and he's 255. He'll box him out. So another one of these guys that I feel like you can do whatever you like. You can do whatever you like. Yeah, with these type of guys, because you put them on the field, you can put them in line, you can split them out, detach them away from the line. These guys give you the best of both worlds, and I think that's why this tight end class is going to be so unique. And all of these guys, I feel like, have a breakout season ahead of them. And if they take advantage of that, I don't see how you keep 2 or 3 of these guys out of the first round. I think these tight ends have a chance to be that dominant. You go to the next and the final tight end actually on this list, and it's a guy that may be talented more so than any of these guys, all right? If you're talking about upside, I don't think any of these tight ends have more than Bucky Hodges out of Virginia Tech. Now, unlike the other 5 tight ends I've mentioned before, Leggett and Engram and Sprinkle and Butt and Howard, Bucky Hodges is not a senior, okay? The rest of those guys are going to be in the 2017 draft, no doubt about it, unless some kind of injury happens, they miss the entire season for the most part, and they get another year of eligibility. If these guys stay healthy, they're going to be in the 2017 NFL draft. With Bucky Hodges, he's got another year of eligibility after the 2016 college football season. If he so chooses, he could come back to Virginia Tech. But I don't see that being the case. If this guy goes out and does what he did in his freshman season and in his sophomore season, which is be consistent, catch the football, be the go-to guy for that Virginia Tech offense, I think he's coming out of this draft and he's going to be in that 2017 crop of tight ends, and I think he may be the best of all of them when it's all said and done. Now, I think he needs to get better at blocking, but if you're just talking about a pure pass catcher, this is an ex-quarterback in high school coming out of Salem. He's from the 757. That's why I know this guy, okay? Went to Salem High School in Virginia Beach. I know this dude, okay? From my neck of the woods. Ex-quarterback, goes to Virginia Tech. They turn him into a tight end, and this guy has been a beast since day one. 6'6", 241. A lot of people will tell you he's 6'7". He's probably more along the lines of 6'6". Either way, he's huge. Has a huge catch radius, can go up and get the football, makes plays. We all know that Virginia Tech offense hasn't been hitting on nothing for the last 4 or 5 years strong, yet he's been a guy that in his collegiate career, the other team knows is getting the football, and yet he's still making plays for that Virginia Tech offense. Be interested to see if they change some things up. Gonna have another quarterback in there, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and no more legendary head coach. Oh man, his name escapes me right now, and I should be ashamed of myself for not remembering the legendary head coach at Virginia Tech who just hung it up. But I'm going to have a new head coach in there, so I want to see if the offensive philosophy changes with the change in head coach. But Frank Beamer, damn, I should be ashamed of myself, but Frank Beamer no longer there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Bucky Hodges and if the offense changes at all and if he's asked to block a little bit more. I'd like to see him get better as a blocker, but as a pass catcher, I don't think any of these guys that I've named is better at catching the football than Bucky Hodges right now. And this guy's just scratching the surface again. I told you he was a high school quarterback, so he's really still young and wet behind the ears. His breath still smells like Similac at the tight end position. This is a guy that I think a lot of NFL scouts are drooling and salivating over the prospects and getting their hands on him because this guy's still young. He's still a big slab of clay that you can mold into the type of football player that you want him to be. And I look at him and I say, this is like a Travis Kelce type right here. Big guy, physical, much more athletic than a Kelce, much more athletic than a Gronk, but has the size that those guys possess. So I'm looking at him and I'm saying to myself, this is the type of guy you want in this NFL, this day and age in the NFL, and all these guys for that matter. I mean, O.J. Howard's 6'6", Jake Butt is 6'6", Jeremy Sprinkle is 6'6", Leggett is 6'5". I mean, these guys are huge and they're athletes, and Bucky Hodges to me is just as athletic, if not more athletically gifted than all of these guys. So you look at the game against Duke in 2015, he had 3 touchdowns in that game. 4th and 2 late in the ball game. They had to have it. And he comes down with a miraculous catch. He's falling down, still catches the football, even though there was pass interference on the play. I mean, Bucky Hodges is the real deal, folks. And so this 2017, and I haven't even mentioned any other guys that are out there, the Josiah Prices of the world, the Buck Cowens of the world. Those guys, there's a guy at Oregon coming off of a knee injury that's like 6'6". He's a stud. And so let's see what he looks like coming off of a major knee injury. I mean, there's guys out there that I didn't even mention. This 2017 tight end group, I'm telling you right now, has the potential to change the game. All right, we haven't seen first-round tight ends. We haven't seen impactful tight ends really the last couple of years. Guys that have been able to stay healthy, guys that have been able to block and catch. Jordan Reed is a beast of a tight end in the league, but he's not a great blocker. These guys kind of combine both of those things, and I think with their size, Jordan Reed is not 6'5", Jordan Reed is not 6'6", okay? These guys have a chance to come in and be the new breed of tight end because the league was switching over to these smaller hybrid guys, these 6'3" and 6'2" guys that could come in and catch the football. These guys are 6'6", they're 6'5", they're 245, they're 250, they're 255. These are grown men, folks, that are gonna come into the league. And at the tight end position where mismatches are the flavor of the day, these guys can offer you that from day number one. So that's another edition of the college football series. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything. And the National Football League. I got more college football series and some more NFL talk for you. Come on back and join me. See you next time. There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter at In the Lab Room, or you can like the Facebook page at In the Lab Room. That's In the Lab Room on Facebook and at In the Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.